Order! Order! You are an incorrigible delinquent at times. Behave yourself, man!
In the military jigsaw that is Syria's civil war, the Kurds have proven to be an effective military force. But for them, there are enemies on all sides. Kurdish forces have consolidated their grip on Syria's northeast today, taking near complete control of Hasaka. There, they've been clashing with the Syrian regime. But a fortnight ago, it was Islamic State they drove out of a place called Manbij. Their progress has caused great alarm in Turkey. Here's our international editor, Lindsay Hilson.
The Syrian government is keen to show its air power and that of its Russian allies. They're fighting to retake the military academy in Aleppo, seized by rebels earlier this month. The fighting is intense. The regime needs a victory. In Hasaka to the northeast, Kurdish militia have regime targets in their sights. This is something new. They never fought Assad's troops before. Today they were celebrating as they've taken most of the town. The Kurds are trying to carve out their own territory in Syria and Turkey, and they'll fight the Islamic State, President Assad and the Turks if need be. Today, the Kurds agreed a truce with the Syrian regime in Hasaka. They've been fighting for a bigger Kurdish area shown in purple. Islamic State territory in grey is shrinking. The Kurds have now driven them out of Manbij. Next they want to take Jarablus from IS. But the Turks will try to prevent the Kurds from getting contiguous territory. And IS will fight hard to retain their last supply line from Turkey. The loudspeaker instructs, stay at home on the ground floor because of mortar attacks. The town of Karkamis over the border in Turkey was attacked today.
I was harvesting maize on a tractor. We heard the sound. We were terrified and hid under the engine. Shrapnel fell on us.
Some people are fleeing. The mortars came from Jarablus, where Islamic State is in control. Turkey fired 40 shells back across the border today. Free Syrian army troops crossed from Syria into Turkey earlier this week. The Turks are expected to help them fight in Jarablus, not just to drive out IS, but to make sure that the Kurds don't get the territory and the glory. A makeshift hospital in Hasaka. Shifting alliances mean little to the victims of this complex, fragmenting, seemingly endless war.
طلعنا بالشارع شفنا أولادنا والثري كانوا يلعبون مثل العيد عندهم طلعنا نص ميتين ونص مخطرين.
There are so many factions now, backed by so many different countries, it's hard to keep track, let alone make peace. The only constant is the agony of Syria's civilians.
Lindsay Hilson. Well, as we've heard, the Syrian army and its allies have intensified their attacks on positions inside Aleppo, with civilians inevitably getting caught in the crossfire. The United Nations has called for a 48-hour ceasefire to allow in vital aid. Well, earlier I spoke to the advisor to the UN Special Envoy to Syria, Jan Egeland, and I asked him, when will that much-promised 48-hour ceasefire actually begin?
I hope it will happen very soon. I am disappointed we haven't gotten it yet. We need 48 hours of a ceasefire to enable trucks to be rolling into both eastern Aleppo and western Aleppo, because the whole city is now engulfed in this terrible war, but also virtually encircled by enemy fighters.
What about the Russian position in all this? Because Russia has been bombing Aleppo until today still, but the Russians have also said that they want a ceasefire. So where exactly do they stand?
Well, they say that they have responded to our UN call for the 48 hours pause in saying that, yes, we're willing to grant you that. We are willing now to sit down with you and look at the details.
But when the Russians say that they want a ceasefire in order to alleviate the humanitarian situation in Aleppo, do you believe them?
I must confess, I think they need to do more to help us reach the civilian population and be less concerned of the other side potentially winning a few feet of ground in their offensive, counter-offensives.
I mean, there's a real danger here, isn't there, Mr. Egeland, that Aleppo will become as much of a byword for the brutality and unbelievable atrocities against civilians of this war as Srebrenica was for, let's say, Bosnia, only that Aleppo is on a much bigger scale because it's such a huge city.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. There is not even a danger. I think it was a symbol of international impotence at the time. And Aleppo is another symbol of our impotence. Here we are again.
Does it frustrate you as a senior official of the United Nations that you represent an organization that is effectively impotent as a ringside observer in this appalling atrocity?
Well, yeah, it affects me every day and every night, but I cannot give up. I mean, the worst thing we can do now is say, this is a lost cause. We're impotent, let them fight it out.
But there will be people who say, forgive me for interrupting, what is the point? What is the point of the United Nations if all the United Nations can do is be a ringside observer in something like this?
But we're not ringside observer. The United Nations is the one that has made this impulse for the 48-hour pause, which will, I think it will happen. It will happen. If we hadn't done anything, there would only have been the guns speaking, and there would have been no relief going anywhere. We represent the hope in all of this, and we need help. I mean, we need help from the governments of the world, really. They need to help us. They are responsible for not doing more.
What about the UK? Is the UK doing enough to help?
The UK can do more on pushing the parties, I think, yes. It's a Security Council member. We can all do more.
Jan Egeland, thank you very much.
I've been